Hello, hello, hello. I'm back again with another multi-stream. It's great to have you with me. We are live now on Instagram. We are live now on Twitter. We are live now on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And tonight is another installation of my mini series. Let me know if you've joined me on the live, that you can hear me and you can see me. We've had a few technical issues over the last few weeks, so it'd be great if you could just give me a little thumbs up and let me know that everything's coming through clear. We've had a few weeks where I've been jib jabbering away and nobody could hear what the hell I was saying. So let me know if you can hear me okay, and that would be fantastic. Okay, I can see some comments coming in. Hey Mayfly, good to see you on Instagram. I could see some comments coming in, I think from YouTube. You guys can hear me? Okay. Wunderbar. Right. So welcome, welcome, welcome one more time. And before we get into this, I want you to remind you about the concept behind this mini series. So before I get into that, this mini series is sponsored by my branding program, which is called On Her Terms. And I've just put a QR code on anyone who's joining me in the landscape. You can see that I have an application process for my branding program called On Her Terms. It's designed specifically for expert female business and brand owners who want to develop and hone their brand further in the coming years so that their business serves them more instead of them feeling like they're a slave to their businesses. You might feel like a slave when it comes to time. You might be really compressed on time and you're feeling resentful about not being able to spend time in your personal life because you've dedicated your heart and soul to your business. You might feel like you're sacrificing yourself when it comes to money and you wish you had a business and a brand that gave you more money so that you could pay yourself. Hey, Natasha, mwah, good to see you. It might be that you're in a season of your career where you wish that your business or your brand would help you take more leadership. Maybe for you, that looks more like increased delegation. You want to grow your team and pass on your knowledge a little more. It might be that you just want to grow. You just want to grow your business so that it's bigger. And when you start thinking about growth, maybe you're thinking also about legacy. What am I leaving behind me after this whole business is done? Am I handing this down to a relation? Am I just going out with a bang, but I know that I've made an impact? Those are the little 5 areas that having a more honed and clarified brand can really help you with. And I think a lot of women out there, especially, feel really frustrated and unable to make a powerful choice to do this because they're too busy in the day to day instead of working on it. That's what this program's all about. Now, if you're watching this and this doesn't fit your needs, I want to ask you right now, do you know any female business and brand owners out there who would really benefit from joining in and learning a little bit more about me, how I operate through this live, and then maybe take a look at the application? If you can think of anyone now, I would love it so much if you could comment them. Just give them a little tag comment from wherever you're joining us on the internet, and then they can come and join in with you. You guys can have a little side chat as I go on, or maybe it's more convenient for her to join in on the replay. If you're that woman and you're joining me on the replay now somewhere in the future, hello, welcome. I'm so glad that you've joined us, and what a fantastic friend you have that tagged you in the comments. Okay, so let's get into tonight's problem. And I have a little graphic ready to show you. Here it is. So this is the current problem. So why thinking colors, fonts, and logo is doing everything of your brand is actually quite a big branding problem. Now, a lot of people out there that I've met over the years consider branding as almost like a tick box exercise. They have a shopping list of things that they need to do to seem legitimate and, like a real proper grown-up business. Get a website, get a domain, make sure my email isn't at gmail.com, get a logo, pick some colors, find some fonts, get a headshot session done. Okay, my branding's done. Let's go. And then nothing happens. The right people are not attracted to them. People come and they want a discount. People come and they expect so much more. There's a massive amount of disconnect. That's what happens when you treat your branding like a tick box exercise. It just doesn't work. So prior to us going live this evening, I've been asking you to share some stories with me and ask some questions about this problem. Now, we're all based around a 90s magazine. If you were a teen or a tween in the 90s, or maybe you knew a teen or a tween in the 90s who got magazines, and in the back there'd be a problem page, like an agony aunt page. That's the concept and vibe that I'm going with for all of these from this mini series. So the idea is you share a salacious or spicy story. Maybe you ask me a little bit of a abrupt question from your frustration, and I will help answer those questions. We have the option where if you don't want to take advantage of my offer to give you a business shout out, if the story is so spicy that you kind of don't want that to be associated with your business, that's fine. I still want the spicy story, bring it on, and I promise I will keep your anonymity protected. So that's the construct that we're going around. And we've had really interesting and funny ones this week. So thank you now to everyone who's been involved. Question one comes from a business colleague and friend of mine, Tracy Hooper. Now, Tracy is a stylist and she works specifically for women who are in leadership. She has a membership as well, an online membership, which is aimed at other stylists who are maybe newer to the business of styling, and she wants to show them how you build a business that's profitable and fulfilling. There she is on Instagram. Mwah. Hi, Tracy. I'm just talking about you. And she is an esteemed academic as well at the London College of Fashion. Now, here is her question. Let me dig it out. So I have my little big breakfast style memory cards because I can't remember everything. I'm not Superwoman. So Tracy says, it's normal to sort out your color and fonts for your brand so you have a cohesive presence online. Yeah, that's true. But should you extend it to your clothing for photo shoots and accessories and style? What's the expert way? Okay, now, this is something Tracy and I feel quite strongly about. Other stylists that I've worked with as well. I'm sure if you're a photographer tuning in, you're going to have some like nodding along as we go through this. So everyone has colors that work for them, and everyone has colors that work against them. And those colors are based on things like your eye color, your hair color, your skin tone, your body shape sometimes can inform like the way that color is used. But it doesn't matter whether you've got a business or not. Some colors will look great on you and some will really look terrible. So it's at that time of making the decision on the shades of colors that I always recommend thinking about bringing a personal stylist into the mix. Um, Even if it's a personal brand or a general brand, I think it's worthwhile taking their advice and expertise. If you're better suited to cool shades, for instance, your stylist and designer can collaborate with each other on your behalf to pick out a color palette that is informed by the initial brand strategy, of course, to make sure that the color palette will flatter you, the human person, as well as work well for the strategy of your business. There is absolutely no reason why more people out there shouldn't be saying, hey, fantastic stylist, hey, amazing graphic designer, can you two just have a little talk together? And they will be obliged and honored, I'm sure, and thrilled that you're getting them to work together on your behalf. Now, yes, you should use the right shades of brand colors to build a work wardrobe, and a collection of on brand accessories, I think, is a really good idea. But please, please do it with style, do it with a little bit of panache. Less is more. You've heard that before in the world of fashion. It's absolutely true when we think about brand and colors. There is nothing worse than seeing people in an unflattering color that makes them look physically bad. um, And then they wear that color from head to toe. So I can think of a conference that I've been to before, and there's a guy that shows up and he wears like a full three-piece suit with a top hat, shoes, everything in this one flat garish color that I am sure does not look good on anyone. And he's doing that to take this idea of wearing your brand colors and being the brand. He's taking it to such a degree, he just looks like a Muppet. I'm sorry, man, if you know me and I don't know your name yet and you're tuning into this, but if anyone's going to tell you the truth, it's going to be me, Laura. I say it with love. At least when you're wearing your brand colors, you should think about breaking it up in terms of color. You might want to break up the shades and do it in that way. This is exactly what a professional stylist like Tracy can help you with. Note what I said before as well, before we move on. So, the order of the informed decision is crucial. Strategy first, followed by design with a little bit of stylist collaboration, then go into more application by final design decisions, and then final decisions on a photo shoot day and everyday wear. That is the right order. If you mess up that order, it's probably not going to work as well. Now, I want to give Tracy a shout out and a personal thanks so much for sending me this question. This was a fantastic question. Tracy Hooper is mainly on Instagram. She's in the comments right now if you want to connect with her, if you like the idea of working with a stylist who really understands this part of branding. And she's also very well known on LinkedIn as well. This is where she meets a lot of women in leadership. So if you're joining in from another platform, you might want to scoot over to these. This is the best place to find Tracy in her natural environment, and she gives so much good quality content as well. So please do connect with her, and thank you very much, Tracy. Now, let me see. The phase 3 of the program is all about this as well. Tracy has a story. Oh my goodness, right. Newsflash, right. I have a story about this as well. I once saw somebody wearing her brand colors on a Zoom, which is great, but her wall behind her was also in the same brand color. So she kind of disappeared into the background. We have a weatherman here in the UK called Michael Fish. It's like a Michael Fish fail, that, isn't it? Mix up the shades. Yeah, disappeared into her background. Not a good look. This is where you're going with too much of the same color, and it just has this bland feeling. I know Tracy, like I said, has great content. Let me talk to you now about phase 3 of the program. So this is all about planting the roots, building that foundation of any future creative direction. So, when you finish the program, you are in a beautiful, optimized position to take your brand guidelines document, which is the tangible output from the program, and go and commission a graphic designer to work up a palette, or go and commission a stylist like Tracy, or go and commission a brand photographer or an illustrator. The list of creative suppliers goes on and on, but all of them will use the same brand guidelines document. And the addition of that is whenever you engage a creative supplier to give you advice on one of the areas of their expertise, it is expected in the professional world that part of their service is to add a page or an expert summary that you can put as an addendum on the back of that brand guidelines document. This way, if you work with a personal brand photographer and they create a photo shoot, they can show the mood boards, show the lighting setup, talk about the camera settings that they've used, so that when it becomes time for you to launch an online store, for instance, where you need to hire a product photographer now, not a brand photographer, that product photographer can look at the debriefing from their colleague and understand, okay, so now I'm going to work in this way, which complements all of the detail in the brand guidelines document, but also jams and collaborates in a beautiful way with the brand photographer. You can see how all of this means everyone in your creative team is literally singing from the same hymn sheet. That's what the brand program does for you. Now, let's get into the second. Is this a story? Yes, okay. This is a request / story. Okay. This really made me smile, this one. Laura, I've been loving these weekly lives. I operate in your world, but I'm a designer. Please For the love of all that is holy, will you riff a little bit on the seven color schemes and how it only works with psychology? I love it when you get on a rant on a live. Well, I'll try and get myself riled up and in a rant, shall I? So let's run through the seven different types of color schemes. If you are in design and you're also in our world, you're probably going to be nodding along because you know all this. If you're not, this might be news to you. It might refresh an old memory, let's say. So there's seven different ways to do it, like the person who's put in this request says. The first one is a monochromatic color scheme. What do we think that is? Hey, Diane, good to see you on Instagram. So monochromatic is colors for one color with lots of different shades. So you can imagine you have like deep blue and then up to the palest of blue. That's a monochromatic color scheme. You could have black through shades of grey to white, but it's that same deep saturation to palest version of the colour. Analogous. Analogous. I can never say it. I've even written it out phonetically here and I still didn't get it right. Analogous is groups of colours from one portion or a segment of a colour wheel. So if you can imagine the colour wheel has all the colours of the rainbow, you're picking out a segment just like you would a segment of an orange. So those colours are similar. Think like dark red to like orangey red to orange. That would be one segment and that would be an analogous color scheme. Complementary is the third one. Now that's pairs of colors from each opposing side of the color wheel. So you can imagine a single line on the color wheel, and as you turn it, it's going to point to directly opposing colors on the wheel. That is a complementary color scheme. And when you put those two colors next to each other, they both seem a little bit brighter as a result. That's the science of the way that those colors work together. If you're after more of a mellow effect with your brand, maybe you've got a mellow, chill related business, or you want to be the more mellow provider in your market, you might want to go for a split complementary color scheme. Now, that's a bit like what we described with the line that goes around, but imagine a capital Y shape and you turn it around. So you have two adjacent tertiary colors with a complementary opposing color. So you turn the little capital Y around, that's where you get a split complementary color scheme. The next one is a triadic. Now, you might have heard of this. Let me know, creative people. Tracy, Diane, I know you're in makeup and beauty. You might be familiar with a triadic color scheme. And this is where you have an evenly spaced triangle shape going around on top of your color wheel. So there's three colors. And when those colors are brought together, they are extra vibrant. So if you're all about being bold and out there, in the mood that you want your brand to be, picking a triadic color scheme is probably a good idea. You can then have a square shape, which is known as a square color scheme, and you can have a rectangular shape known as rectangular or tetradic that goes around on the color wheel. And again, that picks out four colors or four more spaced out colors if it's the rectangular shape to pick out those color schemes. So those are the seven different color schemes. Let me know in the comments if you recognize any of those. Analogous, yes. That's right. Now, in the strategy, so let's just get into the ranty part of this. So, in the strategy fact finding phase of my program, which happens in phase one, it's all about exploring the truth and the facts that exist in your business. It could be the truth of opinion about your business from your stakeholders. It could be the truth and facts about the other competitors that are operating in your marketplace. The non-negotiable black and white facts. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm pleased that you've just heard of them. I feel like I know what I'm talking about. Give it a play around on a color wheel and see what comes up for you, Tay. Then in phase two, after we've got these non-negotiable black and white facts, we're exploring your vision. How do you want to jam in this world that you've decided you want to be an expert in? So that's the difference. You're blending those two things, your current customer need state and your flair and uniqueness as well. So those two things added together are the key ingredients that are used to then form what we do in phase 3, which is all about your unique creative direction. So the mood and tone of each types of ingredients have a deep emotional power. And it's from here that you need to base the big decision like brand colors on. It's a blend of this type of psychology that should be informing where on that color wheel you think you need to sit as a brand that speaks directly to the customers that really do need you in the style and flair that you want to be known and remembered for. That's where you have major impact with colors. Now, before we commit to colors, when we've got to phase 3, the other thing that we do is a little bit of a sense check. We just go back and check, what did we figure out from the rest of the marketplace? Is it that every single let me say of a real common one. So let's go with a psychic, right? Say you're a psychic intuitive coach. A common color in the world of psychics or the mystical is purple, and that's because it has a powerful connotation with the chakra that goes above your head. It's to do with like the other world. I am willing to bet if I did a competitor analysis on a bunch of psychics in your market, they're all going to have purple in one way or another in your color scheme. Now, you might feel very strongly that this is the chakra, an emotional state that you operate in. But when we do that sense check and just take a look at the landscape, we might make the decision that actually purple is not the right color to go with, because we want to stand out. We want to be different. We want to do things in a slightly different way. Can you see the subtle difference there? Let me know in the comments. Now, when designing, brothers and sisters roll their eyes when you're going on and on to them about using your favorite color because it was your best color when you were a child. This is why they roll their eyes, because it's not grounded in fact. It's like the way that you feel about decorating your bedroom or your living room. It's personal to you, and that's a huge mistake that you're making when you're thinking about your brand. Yes, it's your baby and it's come from your heart and soul, but it's never always just about you. Another red flag, by the way, before we move on, is requests for featuring a butterfly in a logo. Now, I've had this a couple of times in my years working as a brand photographer before I got into brand strategy. And I've spoken about this down the pub with other people in design and branding. And a few of them have agreed if there's ever a request for a butterfly to go in a brand mark and they don't operate a butterfly sanctuary, run for the hills. It's just this like silly little in joke. If you can think of any red flags and you're in this world, please share them in the comments. And maybe if you have a butterfly in your brand, we need to talk. Okay, so let's go into the next. This one's a story, number 3, and this is from an anonymous as well. Okay. Oh, right. Yes, this is a funny story. Okay. Hiya, Laura. I don't know much about all this, but I thought this story from my life might make your viewers laugh. It made me laugh. Outside of work, I'm part of a football team. It's nothing flash, but we still get local businesses to sponsor the kit each season. This year, we got a local grocer, and now we are full of regrets. In their shop, they have a logo featuring a cartoon leek with punk rocker Sprouts as hair. And when the printer got this, they had to blow it up to fit it on the front of our kit shirts. It's a 90s clip art and it's totally pixelated. The shirts came out terrible. Now, within our league, we have become known as the Pixel Leak. I'm not going to say the swear word. There is a chant and everything. That is so football. I Katie couldn't say it. Naturally, we are now seeking other sponsors, and we're going to be really careful to check the logo before signing on the dotted line. So, do you know anyone in a local football team near to you where you live who plays soccer who has this god awful pixelated punk rocker leak on their shirt? If you do, this is the person that sent this message. If not, don't worry, dude, your anonymity is protected. Now, This is actually a really good example of brand actions versus brand appearance. Yes, T. Oh, no, indeed. I would think about, so putting my PR hat on here, I would think about spinning this. I feel like this is newsworthy. If you're in public relations, you might have some better ideas than I. I would record that chant and I would turn it into like a charity song, like the World is in Motion from the World Cup. I'd do something like that and raise some money for charity. That would be absolute clickbait and press worthy for like national news, I think, because it's like one of those happy, feel good news stories. And Lord only knows we need lots more of them every day when we're tuning into the news. The other idea I came up with just before we went live on air was to do a public, like, save the leak play, and you could get some emerging creatives who really do need the opportunity to add to their portfolio to help with a rebrand and then take that to the press. So there's some little ideas that I think you could think about making a bad thing a good thing before next football season. But it just goes to show you how many people are still out there doing like a ramshackle cowboy, or should I say punk rocker version of a logo, and they have no idea about how it works. It just damaged your brand, Mr. and Mrs. Grocer. Maybe you want to think about your branding strategy. Okay, said with love. Now, next one. This is a question. Yes. Okay. So, Laura, every time I feel bad about the success of my business, I feel tempted to faff about in Canva to refresh or zhuzh up my brand. I love the way you spelled zhuzh, by the way. In the 5 years that I've been trading, I've had 7 logos and 6 different color palettes. Why is this such a bad thing, really? It makes me feel so good. And again, it always pulls me out of my business funk. Well, where to begin, sunshine? So, I want to talk to you about brand erosion. So, brand erosion is where people no longer associate your brand with what you do and what you sell. They associate you as being flaky and unreliable. And you can see how that breeds contempt, and it also creates this lack of trust and uncertainty. If you're always turning on a dime, how can anyone feel comfortable and safe about giving you their hard earned cash to do something when you don't even know who you are? That's the issue that you're creating. Yes, it might feel like therapy to have a little afternoon and a cup of tea and a biscuit in Canva, but don't put it out there. It's not going to help your business, and it's certainly not going to help your brand grow. There'll be people out there who, what did you say? You said 7 different logos and 6 different color palettes. There'll be 7 people out there who will legitimately think you've had 7 different businesses. People think a new logo means a new business unless you articulate very clearly in your communications why you're doing a rebrand and what they can expect from this rebrand in terms of your behavior beyond the fact that there's a new pretty logo. So I just want to challenge you on that. And the other big mistake that you've made here is that you've made this all about you. It's about you feeling in a business funk about your business. So, to make yourself feel better, you have spent time in Canva so that you could feel better about your business, so that you could then put something fresh out there, which makes you feel good. That is all self centered and focused on you. Your business is not about you. You're the provider. And yes, you have a unique panache and style, like what we talked about when Tracy was here. But it's always, and it should always be more about your customers. What is the transformation that they feel? Why do they choose you and not a competitor? It's never about you. It's always about them. I actually have an episode on my YouTube channel, Moi TV, and I'll put a link to that in the comments later. If you're struggling to understand this, or you feel like maybe you're wrestling with this, or you resonate with what this person said, or you are this person, I think that episode will really help you. And you can always send me a DM if you need to. And the other thing I said here, because I was trying to be an agony aunt, was find another way to get out of the funk. funk. We all get in a business funk, don't we, guys? Once in a while, you have a crappy work day or a bad work week, and you feel like you're in a real funk. So think about going out for a long walk. Think about, I was thinking maybe you could do like one of those meditative coloring in books. I love those things, I'm obsessed with them. I like to go swimming when I'm in a bit of a funk. It always makes me turn my mood around and start to be strategic with your colors, make this final decision, and then never, ever go back on what you've decided unless you're making a serious business change. This is also, I want to finish by saying this is a sign of hesitation, procrastination. Can anyone else relate to that? So, my challenge here is, why are you doing this? Why are you allowing yourself to be stuck on this loop? Now, the reason I think you're allowing yourself to get stuck on this loop is because it feels safe and predictable. You know how it goes. You do the logo, you do the colors, you put it out, you feel good, you do, and round and round and round we go. What is the scary thing that you're avoiding in your business? What is the thing that fills you with the most anxiety and puts you in that business funk in the first place? That is what you should be focusing on. Leave Canva alone and get yourself focused and start with that thing that stresses you out the most. And there is absolutely no harm in asking anyone for help, colleagues for advice, pay some experts to drive you in the right direction. Faffing on with your colors over and over again is not going to work. It's going to damage your business. Okay, I think I've made myself quite clear there. Okay, this next one, let me see, is a story. Yeah, so we're finishing with a story tonight. And this is from a blast from the past whose anonymity I'm protecting. You're never going to figure out who this was. I'm quite open in the fact that I had 39 different jobs before I was 30. So it could be someone from any one of those different 39 jobs. But this person says, I work in corporate, Laura, and you and me go way back. Yes, over 15 years ago. I absolutely love that you're getting involved with this. And I wish we lived near each other to go out for a beer. I'll just say that. So, this is the story, right? In my office, the word logo is a huge trigger right now, to the point where yesterday it was brought up in a meeting, and my exasperated colleague stood up and stormed out of the room. They still have the arse today. I wonder if I know who that person is. Okay, we've been trying to decide on a logo for a new venture that will involve the local community more in our business. Everything dot dot dot. And I mean every stage of logo, font and color has been decided by a democratic vote. Tell us straight, Laura, where did we go wrong? And if you can keep the swears out, I can gently ask my line manager to watch this bit on the replay tomorrow. Wish me luck. Okay, well, I think you've just said where you went wrong. Decision by jury. Right there. There's your problem. So it elevates every single expert in the room. It elevates every single moron in the room. And it elevates every single troublemaker in the room to the same level of influence. Right there. That's your problem. That's why decision by jury is a terrible idea with Brandon. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago on one of these lives about how irked I feel when I see people say, here's 6 iterations of my logo. They do this on LinkedIn, right? Here's 6 iterations of my logo. Which one's your fave? And you've got all these jackasses in the comments putting in their 2 cents. Some of them are morons, some of them are experts, and some of them are troublemakers trying to make your life more difficult. Why on earth would you let them make such an important decision in your business? It drives me bananas. At one point, a couple of years ago, I was putting this diatribe in the comments, and then I just thought, no, this isn't good for my mental health. I'm just going to back away. And now I'm venting about it to you. So it's no wonder here that emotions are running high, because nobody is really leading this. I'm guessing that the current iteration of this logo is probably really beige and unfeeling, and it's been made safe, and it feels like a whisper instead of a loud, memorable boom. That's what you want a logo to be. Wow. Now, phase one of the program, let's just put the QR code on the landscape show. Phase one, like I talked to you about before when we were looking at one of the requests, was about competition and wider market research, and then current stakeholder research. Now, when we do that current stakeholder research, it's important that we ask objective questions of people who have different levels of stakes in your business. So it's good to ask your accountant what they feel about your brand, but when we bear their feedback in mind, we take a mental note that this is an accountant who is fantastic at numbers and probably not so good at the creative ideas. They're like facts, figures. This is where I see things growing in this market. That's where they're an expert. We also try and make a point of asking one of the stakeholders who's like a friend as well as a customer, someone who's brand new, who's just found you on the internet and bought from you. And then sometimes when we're dealing with teams in this part of a brand strategy service or in the program, I make a point of making you find people who you know are disenchanted, a little bit of a troublemaker, maybe a moron. That's probably a bit too harsh. And we ask them for their opinion. We take all of that information on board, but we give it the same level of credence based on the direction that we want the business to go in. So if that customer who's a mate of yours who buys things but doesn't really share the vision of where you want to take your business and brand in the future, we bear that in mind when we're making the decision part and deciding on the creative direction. So this right here is how the problem has been created. I think by the sounds of it, and you didn't say this, so maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. You've missed out the research into the wider market. Now you're doing something, I don't know what it is, you're doing something that's involving the local community more. I want to know what other businesses who operate in your world are doing something for the community, and what research have you done into the way that they're showing up? Have they created a sub brand? Is it a standalone brand? Why? Has it worked? What results have they had? Those are the things that you've totally missed out in the planning portion of this. The other big error here is you've got nobody steering or leading this project. So what you're playing at, why have you not done that? This is why emotions run high, because everyone thinks that they're in charge and feelings get hurt when people don't win their vote. So surely in the world of corporate, and I know where you come from, I'm not going to say it, this is a massive opportunity for someone who wants to top up their Christmas bonus or who wants to go after a promotion. This is the sort of thing that you talk about in your interview for your promotion, or when you're trying to shake them down for a pay rise, that you say, this is why I deserve this. So there should be someone in the team, internal, leading this and steering the way that the internal communication side of this is playing out and going down. And then that person is not expected to be an expert. I know if you're in corporate, there is money on the table and you should have hired an expert. You should have hired a branding strategist. They should be able to recommend a great graphic designer. You could even do something that is part of a community project, but you need an expert from the field of branding. I don't know why you didn't phone me. Maybe we'll have a talk after this. And then you have someone who's in the business to act as the direct liaison and leader for that supplier. And that's how the decision gets made. Everyone is going to respect that, and everyone's going to fall into line. So that's why you've got this can of worms going on. So if you're the line manager watching this on the replay, I did my hardest. I don't think I did any swears. I'm sorry if I did. Maybe turn the volume down. And yeah, I think this is how you turn this around and make it a positive thing, instead of creating so much stress and animosity and like at work domestics. There you go. That's my advice. Now, I've put the QR code on the landscape. I'm going to put links in all of the comments on all of the social media platforms that we're airing tonight on the multi-stream, for you to look at how the program works in even more detail than what we got into tonight. So the link will take you to a breakdown of the program, how it works, how much it costs, how long it takes, and then you'll have the option to apply. The reason we have an application process in this is to make sure that you feel confident that the people who end up in the program with you are complementary to your business. There's no conflict of interest there. You're not going to be in there with a competitor, and that will make you feel stifled and uncomfortable about being transparent and open about your business. Next week is the final live in the mini series, and I'm keeping this one a bit more of a freestyle. So, if there's any of the episodes that you've watched before, or maybe tonight has got some questions firing in your brain and I haven't answered them, you can pre submit those to me on the link that I'll put in the comments as soon as we wrap tonight. And I can either give your business a shout out and ask people to follow you, or buy something from you, or get involved in a thing that you're working on right now. Or if it's on the spicy side, please still tell me, because I love a spicy story or the opportunity to rant, and I will protect your anonymity. Make sure you pre-submit those. I'll be back here again next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Thank you very much. Mwah! Goodbye.